Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin, Saturday, February 7th, 2015 at around 10:15 a.m. I already did the dog walk. We just dropped Addie off at a storytelling and theatrical class at Manny's Place, also known as Dichter's Pharmacy, up here in Inwood, New York. And I'm extending my walk here specifically to talk about crawlers, which I'm ready to implement in Pipulate. And it's going to be a different kind of crawler, very much geared towards search engine optimization, or SEO, my field. And I'm going to review a bunch of the decisions that are going into it. First, I'm writing my own from scratch again, something I do every few years in different languages over the years with different features and priorities. And industrial power crawlers are commonplace now, with everything from the multi-platform desktop Screaming Frog, which is so popular in the SEO profession now, to the Java, in Java there's Nutch, which is part of the Lucene framework, really heavy-duty, powerful, multi-threaded, distributable stuff. And in the Python world, there's Scrapey, which is also quite industrial strength. And my decision has been to not go that route, because there's plenty of tools that do that, and it really works against you, producing massive amounts of data real quick that you don't have super tight control and understanding over, or worse still, the key data points that you really need for SEO is too easy to accidentally happen. And it's so easy to write a crawler, I'm going to do that. But there's going to be a bunch of new criteria and changes in my approach. First of all, there's not going to be a concept of number of pages crawled at the outset. There might be a limit, but with each click, it will go to the next successive crawl depth. There's a concept called iteration, which is so often used in writing web crawlers, which is the key trick to feed the output of a program back into its input, so that eventually you've traversed the entire tree. It's kind of a parsing trick that's used commonly with link graphs and XML and the web link graph. And I won't be doing that, or more accurately, each click on the Pipulate bookmarklet will be representative of one iteration. And all the housekeeping that's done will reside directly in the Google spreadsheets. I'll be creating a few tabs which represent tables, database tables, if you like to think of it that way. The main Pipulate tab will contain pages, as people are probably expecting to see from a crawler. And there will be all the standard on-page data points, like titles and metas, on each row in the Pipulate table. But there's going to be some other tables in the picture, like audit, where I'll keep key data points about the overall site, given that a big purpose of this will be to perform site audits. And that's where I'll be able to throw things like site colon lookups in Google to get the number of pages as far as Google is concerned, and maybe lookups from SEO Moz, or it's just Moz, and Majestic to get page authority and domain authority, or that kind of stuff. Flow Trust or Link Trust. They've got some crazy names, all of them in order to roughly approximate the PageRank data point, which is so easy to get from Google, but which is rapidly becoming obsolete because Google hasn't updated their PageRank per URL data in quite a long time, and the chatter is they never will. So that's the Pages tab, the Audit tab, but then most importantly, the whole crawl could exist just with a Links tab, because the existence of pages is inferred from the offsite criteria, which is links to the page. And that'll be an interesting one. The idea is you don't want to throw too much data into these tables, because it is, after all, living in Google spreadsheets. And if you discovered every time a link was discovered as a brand new row, you would clobber the performance and the size of the database. So instead, you want to just record each link that you discover once, but you need to preserve enough data to load it into sitemap visualizers. I called it DS or d3js.com before, but it's really d3js.org. If you go look at the examples there, you'll get some idea of what I'm talking about. But every page that you visit is a node, but the relationships between nodes is going to be kept in the links tab. And instead of recording every time you encounter a link, it's going to be a set so that each link can only exist in that table once. But then I'll field stuff a parent or parents field or column, whatever you want to call it, with a number that represents the page where the link was discovered from. So over time, as the crawl continues, every page that's been discovered in the link graph will know all the pages it's been discovered from. So that could be visualized as increasingly larger circles in a sitemap. So the home page naturally becomes the largest. Your primary navigation pages become the second largest, and so on. And there's a bunch of decisions there about what particular columns get put there, and normalization questions, because if, say, that field stuffed parents column was not normalized, that would have a long, potentially memory intensive list of URLs that the page was discovered from in there. Instead, it's going to have like 1, 2, 3, 4, which will grow larger at a much slower rate, at the expense of more processing during the transformation into probably JSON data required to load into the JavaScript sitemap visualizers. I don't know if you're all following that, but basically it's part of the killer app nature of Pipulate. So the workflow goes something like such. You visit a page in a browser, you click the Pipulate bookmarklet in your bookmarklets or your bookmark toolbar. The Pipulate interface pops up. The button that usually says start pipulating will probably say start crawl. You click it. 2 tabs will be created in addition to the Pipulate one, which is already there, and they are links and audit. And then the data from just the one page you were viewing is turned into a row on the Pipulate tab, and all the links that were discovered on that page become rows on the links tab. And then it'll tell that it was discovered on the home page or the initialization page, the start page, whatever you want to call it. And then it'll have another column that says parents, plural. So the first one is parent, which will have the home page. The second one is parents, and it'll have just one number at that point. And then it'll have probably a depth column, although the depth column could probably go in either the links table or the Pipulate table. I've got some decisions to make there. It might have to be calculated because I want to get shortest depth, and it might be weighted shortest depth. There's some real decisions to make there, but it's derivative data. You can figure it out by scanning through these tables. And so it can be calculated, and probably should be calculated after the fact, because you don't know the shortest click path to a page until you've encountered the page that establishes that shortest click path. Okay, so crawlers in one way are incredibly simple, and in other ways are incredibly complex, and I haven't found an SEO crawler yet that satisfied my criteria. They tend to throw away all the data that I consider important, and certainly don't set the stage for performing a data transformation. I might use XSLT, pull out an old tool from my toolbox to create the JSON that gets loaded directly into the visualizers. In some ways, this is going to be easier than it all sounds, because the world has kind of caught up with where my mind has been over the years, with all these wonderful JavaScript libraries for every nuanced little specialized purpose. It used to be this stuff was only available in Java from organizations like IBM Research. Now it's just in the GitHub free and open source community in JavaScript that lives easily in a browser. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble, but I'm really pumped over the crawler. So that's what happens on the first bookmarklet click. Then you switch over to the spreadsheet that was created at that first click. And on the second click from within Google Spreadsheets, it now starts to visit the discovered but not yet visited links from the links table. And order and sequence is very important. I'll record the sequence. There will probably be a sequence column, so that each one will have an incrementally larger number that keeps track of the order in which the pages were discovered. And that will be used to make sure that I'm doing a breadth-first crawl, especially with the recursion, which, whether or not I'm using recursion is a matter of debate or interpretation, but you have to avoid depth first, in which you visit a page, you get the list of links on that page, and then you visit the first link on that page before and then on the subsequent page you visit the first link, and so on, so that you're diving deep down into the hierarchy of the site before you sampled all the pages that were in a higher hierarchy. So that's called a depth first crawl, which is what I'm trying to avoid. I'm going to be doing a breadth first crawl, and a very light one, so that each click represents one more level deep, and it will have big impact on the kind of site maps that get generated. With one click, it's just the home page. With two clicks, it's the secondary pages or the primary navigation pages. With 3 clicks, you could have a 100-page site. And with 4 clicks, you could easily be up to 1,000 or 10,000. And if it's too many on the 4th click, too many pages to handle in Google Spreadsheets, you got some site hierarchy architectural problems. And now you start, and you can see it just right there in front of you in like a PDF, SVG, perfectly understandable, kind of org chart almost of your website. So you have a pretty good idea of where I'm going with this, and why I'm so excited, and why I keep talking about this Pipulate thing as a free and open source product for SEO, unlike anything else that's out there. And hopefully I'll get back to my YouTube videos where I actually show you me doing the coding. But right now I'm working at this enormously fast pace, because I consider it really do or die. I'm almost 4 months in at Flying Point Digital, and I hate to dangle a carrot in front of people. At some point you lose credibility, so I'm in the phase of just bearing down and getting it done. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're into this sort of stuff, please forward the video to someone else who you think needs to see it, and follow along. Talk to you soon.